I first saw it, I thought that this was a US-made, very advanced next-generation fighter, and in fact that this would explain all the UFO sightings. It was only later to find out that that wasn't the case.
The greatest secret of the last century is not a weapon or a political scandal. It's a presence. A non-human intelligence has been operating from a secure base on Earth for decades, with the full knowledge and cooperation of the United States military. The location is the one everyone whispers about, Area 51. We're going beyond speculation and into the detailed eyewitness accounts of men who were there.
I got a clear glimpse at what I was certain was a little lost girl with chalk-white skin running out there.
They described the aliens, their ships, their intentions, and the shocking truth that humanity's destiny may no longer be entirely in our own hands. S4's Alien Secrets. Many people are crazy about the idea of Area 51, but the truth is far more structured and profound than the wild theories suggest. You see, the story doesn't begin with a vague conspiracy, it begins with a crash. In 1947, something fell out of the sky and landed in the desert near Roswell, New Mexico. The official story changed almost overnight. First, the military announced they had recovered a flying disc. Then, just hours later, they retracted that statement, claiming it was nothing more than a weather balloon. That single, clumsy cover-up sparked a mystery that has endured for over 75 years. But for those on the inside, it was no mystery at all. It was the beginning of everything. The thing nobody tells you is that the Roswell incident was the foundational event of a secret parallel space program. According to insiders and high-level whistleblowers, what was recovered was not a weather balloon, but a craft of non-human origin, along with the bodies of its crew. This single event provided the United States government with something priceless and terrifying. Undeniable proof that we are not alone, and a piece of technology so advanced it defied human comprehension. To put it mildly, this changed the course of human history in secret. The most pressing question was not, are they real? But, what do we do now? This led to the creation of a shadow government, a network of military and intelligence officials operating with extreme secrecy under a classification level far above the President of the United States. Their sole purpose was to manage the alien problem. What many overlooked is that this new reality required a new kind of facility. They needed a place that was remote, secure, and completely off the books. They found it in the Nevada desert, on the shores of a dry lake bed called Groom Lake. This isolated patch of land, later designated Area 51, became the most secret place on Earth. It was here that the wreckage from Roswell and from subsequent UFO crashes was taken for study. While NASA was busy with its public-facing missions, launching rockets and capturing the world's imagination, the real work, the work that truly mattered for the future of the human race, was happening in hidden hangars at Area 51. The most shocking fact is that this wasn't just about studying dead aliens and broken ships. According to whistleblower testimony, the Roswell crash was followed by direct contact. This led to a series of alleged meetings and, eventually, a formal agreement between the United States government and at least one of the extraterrestrial races. This alleged deal, supposedly struck in the 1950s, laid the groundwork for a strange and unsettling partnership. The terms, as described by insiders, were simple. The aliens would provide the U.S. with advanced technology, and in exchange, the U.S. government would allow them to operate on Earth in secret, turning a blind eye to their activities, which reportedly included the abduction of human beings for study. This is a terrifying trade-off, but for a government desperate to gain a technological edge over its Cold War adversaries, it was a deal they were willing to make. This shadow program, built on a foundation of alien technology and secret agreements, operated with a budget that dwarfed NASA's. It was funded through black projects, siphoning billions of dollars from the Department of Defense budget without any public or congressional oversight. While NASA struggled with budget cuts and public scrutiny, the real space program at Area 51 was making leaps in technology that were decades, if not centuries, ahead of anything in the public domain. They were studying anti-gravity propulsion, advanced materials science, and even the nature of space-time itself. The rockets and shuttles that NASA launched were, in this context, little more than a public relations exercise, a clever distraction to keep the world looking up at the sky while the real action was happening in the desert below. But what kind of beings were we dealing with? The answer is stranger and more detailed than anyone could imagine. A day in the life with aliens. For people watching this, the idea of aliens at Area 51 often brings to mind the classic image of small, gray beings with large black eyes. But not all things are what they seem. According to one of the most detailed and controversial whistleblower accounts, the primary extraterrestrial race operating out of the Nevada Test and Training Range is something else entirely. Charles Hall, a former United States Air Force weather observer, who served at Nellis Air Force Base from 1965 to 1967, claims to have spent 3 years in close personal contact with a species he calls the tall whites. His testimony, laid out in his Millennial Hospitality book series, provides an unprecedented and frankly terrifying look inside this secret world. Hall's duties as a weather observer were, on the surface, mundane. He was stationed at a series of remote gunnery ranges deep in the desert, locations so isolated they were nicknamed the Lonesome Ranges. It was here, far from the main facilities of Area 51, that he says he stumbled upon one of the military's most closely guarded secrets. He discovered that these ranges were, in fact, the primary living and working area for a group of non-human beings. His first encounters were terrifying. He would see tall, glowing figures in the night, moving at impossible speeds. He suffered from severe psychological distress, and his superiors initially dismissed his reports as the ravings of a man driven mad by solitude. But the thing nobody tells you is that his superiors already knew. They were testing him, seeing if he could handle the pressure of direct contact without breaking. After several harrowing months, a fragile trust was established, and Hall began to have regular daylight interactions with the tall whites. His descriptions are incredibly specific. They are tall, typically standing between 6 and 8 feet, with a very thin, frail build. Their skin is chalk white, and they have large blue eyes that wrap further around their heads than human eyes. They have thin, blonde hair and can live for up to 800 years. What many overlooked in his testimony is their strange physical abilities. They can run at speeds of up to 40 miles per hour and can levitate. They also possess a unique form of intelligence. They can process information so quickly that they often seem distracted or uninterested in human conversation, much like an adult trying to talk to a small child. The most shocking fact from Hall's account is the nature of their presence. This wasn't a secret scientific exchange happening in a sealed underground lab. This was an open-air base. The tall whites lived in underground facilities but spent a great deal of their time on the surface, interacting with their children and maintaining their deep space scout crafts. According to Hall, the tall white children were particularly curious and often playful. They would approach him, wanting to interact, sometimes with unsettling results. The tall whites themselves viewed humans with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. They were described as being extremely intelligent, but also arrogant, quick to anger, and potentially very dangerous. Hall recounts several instances where a tall white became agitated and used a pen-like hypnotic weapon to incapacitate a fellow airman, causing severe internal injuries. The technology Hall witnessed was beyond anything imaginable in the 1960s. The tall whites operated sleek white egg-shaped scout ships, about the size of a school bus. These ships were capable of incredible acceleration and interstellar travel. Hall claims that these were the UFOs that pilots and civilians frequently reported in the skies over Nevada. To put it mildly, the U.S. Air Force wasn't just testing secret planes. They were managing the air traffic for an active alien spaceport. The tall whites had an agreement with the U.S. generals. In exchange for providing advanced technology, particularly in electronics and materials science, they were given secure bases and the freedom to operate without public knowledge. You can see this everywhere in the small details Hall provides. He speaks of a high-ranking tall white female, known as the teacher, who took a particular interest in him. She would engage him in conversations, sharing small, cryptic details about their culture and their home world, which is located near the star Arcturus. The interactions were always tense. Hall learned that to survive among them, he had to be completely non-threatening and earn their trust, a process he called saving the teacher's children's lives by simply being a safe and predictable human presence. Any sudden move or sign of aggression could be met with a lethal response. This was not a friendly diplomatic exchange. It was a deeply unequal and precarious coexistence, where humans were tolerated as long as they remained useful and did not pose a threat. But what was the purpose of this secret pact, and what kind of technology were we getting in return? The answer to that question would redefine our understanding of physics. Reverse engineering the cosmos. For the people watching this who wonder what the ultimate goal of the Area 51 program is, the answer is simple: reverse engineering. The secret treaty with the Tall Whites and other alien groups was never about friendship. It was about acquiring their technology. And in 1989, a man came forward claiming to have been at the very heart of that program. His name was Bob Lazar, and his testimony, whether you believe it or not, remains the most detailed and specific account of the alien technology hidden at Area 51. Lazar claimed he was a physicist hired to work at a secret facility called S4, located miles away from the main Groom Lake base. His job was to help American scientists understand the propulsion system of a captured alien craft. The thing nobody tells you is that Lazar's claims were incredibly precise. He described 9 different types of alien vehicles stored in hangars built into the side of a mountain. He personally worked on one, which he called the Sport model, a classic flying saucer about 52 feet in diameter. But the most shocking fact was his description of how it worked. The craft, he said, was powered by a reactor that used a super-heavy, stable element not found on Earth, element 115. According to Lazar, this element, when bombarded with protons, creates a powerful gravity wave. The ship had 3 gravity amplifiers on its underside, which could focus these waves. By creating their own gravity fields, the craft could bend and distort space-time, allowing them to travel vast interstellar distances almost instantaneously. What many overlooked at the time was the sheer audacity of this claim. Lazar wasn't just describing a new type of engine. He was describing a technology that fundamentally breaks our known laws of physics. It was, in essence, a space-time drive. To steer the craft, the gravity amplifiers would be focused in the desired direction, creating a gravity well that the ship would essentially fall into. This method of travel was so advanced that it produced no G-forces on the occupants, allowing for right-angle turns at thousands of miles per hour. This perfectly matches the flight characteristics of UFOs reported by military pilots for decades. Is the secret of Area 51 a necessary protection or the greatest deception ever perpetrated? Let us know what you believe in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more truths hidden in plain sight.